Eric is the president or the outgoing president of the Northwest Area Command. Sad to see him resign and say that he's served long enough, which I certainly agree with him. He'll be tough shoes to fill. I'm the vice president of the Northwest Area Command, Jeff Miller, and we do need to find a president, and it's not the vice president move up the ladder, in my opinion. But the panelists will have to take a look around and see who we want to nominate for that. So following the agenda, and I'm glad I printed it out. We'll start off with the commander from the Northwest Area Command for him to give a update on what the Northwest has been doing.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me, first of all?
I can hear you, sir.
Awesome. Just to go into a few things that we're doing. We just had our second corner on a cop this today. I don't know if any of you were there this morning. We kind of changed it up a little bit. The previous corner on the cop we had, I think we didn't get out, the word out as much as we should have. So we didn't have a lot of participation in that first one. So what we ended up doing and changing was how we're sending out the information. So we ended up doing flyers, and obviously I think sent some through the CPC and neighborhood associations. And we actually even posted it on Nextdoor. So we had a pretty good turnout this morning. We're going to continue to do that. So just pass on and just pass on to anybody that that just to keep an eye out for those flyers, because one of the things with having these cop on the corners, it's going to give everybody the opportunity to provide us with any feedback, not just talking about the feedback that we get with the issues of concern with regards to crime or any other issues like that, but feedback into how we're doing. That gives you an opportunity to connect with the officers, the field officers that are actually out there patrolling, their supervisors, but also, it's going to give you, whether it's something that you want us to work on, some input on things that we're doing, new ideas, or just get to say hi to the officers, say thank you to them, because I think that's really good. So that's how we're going to be moving in the future. If there's any other ideas that you have with regards to how we can provide that information to make sure that we get more participation, we would definitely love that. The other thing, when we're talking about, as far as our crime rates, because I know a lot of times that's one of the main things that you want to talk about is how we're doing. Again, I think as an area command, we're doing really good compared to some of the other area commands. We still have a lot of challenges in specific areas with assaults. We're still a little bit higher than we had been compared to last year. So we're still working on those. We did see a little bit of we have seen a little bit of an increase in our commercial robberies. We are conducting some operations, not only within the area command, but the robbery units are having robbery attack plans. And the other is commercial burglaries. We have been working closely with not only some of the businesses that we had been working on with the shopliftings, some of the big box stores, but our storage units. We saw a high increase in our storage units getting burglarized. And unfortunately with that, it was several that happened at a time. And so that really increased our numbers. We met with a lot of the management and the business owners there to try to look at some improvements within their property. I know we're working with one of the businesses, trying to see if there's ways for them to raise their fence up a little bit, because it's, you know, I think that's how they're getting in. So those are the things that we're working on to try to get those reductions. And I know there has been several concerns. I've gotten several emails with some of the encampments that we have seen there on I-40 and Coors. We are working not only with some of our outreach organizations. Our PRT team has been out there. We have been working with Parks and Rec on some of these things. So we are working on it. I know some have sent me some emails pretty frequently on it, but just, you know, just to make sure that everybody knows we are still, you know, we still want to make sure that we do that outreach. We want to make sure that we give them an opportunity to, you know, provide them resources and do what we can to help them out. But it is important to keep in mind, like I've talked to everybody here and explained that we also want to make sure that, you know, one, that we're not letting them get victimized, but that they're also not victimizing some of the businesses, because we do run into that. So we want to make sure that we cover all our bases and continue to address some of those concerns. But that's kind of where we are right now. And I'm open to any questions that anybody may have.
For those new that may have joined us, if you're if you don't have an active mic, you can type your question in on the message, and I do try to watch that. Okay, here's a good question. Police face many headwinds, both internal and external. What is current state of morale of the Northwest Area Command, recruitment, retraining officers, or retaining officers? I'm sorry. That's a tough one for you to answer there, because
Well,
recruitment's kind of out of your hand. I do know there's a class graduating soon, so.
yes, and I think you know, I believe Lieutenant Garcia from the academy may be here, so she can get into those. But I will tell you this, you know, obviously we've been hearing this a lot. You know, it's no secret we've been hearing the fact, whether it's through the media or through different areas, about you know, morale with the officers and the challenges. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there aren't some challenges when it comes to morale. Now, as far as the Northwest Area Command, the things that I'm doing is keeping my officers informed, making sure that they know that I'm keeping them informed, not only on what's going on with the department, but what's going on in the community. I do go to my briefings as often, you know, as often as I can, maybe not as often as I would like to, but I do make sure that I'm passing on that information. You know, I think we have challenges just like every other area command. But when you talk about morale, although there may be concerns with the officers, I can tell you that that's not being translated out to the streets or the encounters with the community, because I go out on calls and I see how the officers are interacting with the community, you know, what they're doing, the arrests that they're making, the operations that they're involved in. So it doesn't necessarily, you know, it hasn't translated into how they're operating. So that has been, you know, a good thing for the Northwest Area Command. And we're going to continue to do that, keeping them informed. And I know the Academy is trying really hard on making sure that we get more personnel. And so that's, you know, hopefully I answered the question with regards to morale and the things that we're doing.
Okay, then we have another question there. when people call the police, can police make report over phone rather than in person? If we know the suspects or suspects, some of us are scared of police because of experiences. God,
Yeah.
I've never been
Well,
afraid of a police officer, so I don't know how to relate to that, but you can certainly fill that, Commander.
yeah, you know what, there are several ways. There are absolutely numerous ways to be able to report crimes or relay your concerns to us. Obviously, in an emergency, the most important is 911. And not only that, you have the ability to report a crime anonymously, right? You know, if it's something that you're a witness to and you just do not want to get involved, but you want the law enforcement officers to get out there in an emergency 911, you have that ability. Call 242 cops for those non-emergency calls. And again, you have the right to be anonymous as a caller. You just have to make that request once you make that call. The others are you can do online reporting for some specific crimes. You can either go to our area command website. You can go to the city website, and it'll have a link for you to file that. We are working on an application, a mobile application that is going to put a lot of these resources within that app, and you would have to just tab that, hit on that app and be able to look at filing a report. You know, the one thing that I would want to say is that, you know, anytime we have a question like that, please, you have a concern with officers, or you don't feel like, you know, that you don't feel comfortable enough to call them, please, I can tell you, feel free to send me an email, because if we have just one citizen that feels that way, then I, as a commander, us as a department, we have work to do. Because obviously we need to make sure that we communicate what really we're supposed to be doing, and that's to serve you, the community. So I'm going to put my email address on there. Again, you know, I would like to sit down with you, and you know, feel free to email me so that we can make sure that, you know, that we provide you the services that you need, and that you feel safe and comfortable with having that interaction with an officer. So.
And I have to agree with that. By all means, get a hold of somebody that's on this panel. If you join this meeting, you know, you should have several email addresses. And Kelly, I mean, even if they got a hold of you, you would know who to get a hold of, and we can facilitate that. I mean, I can understand that some people just cannot or do not want to interact with police officers. Then we had another question there that disappeared, but it's in regards to how you get a hold of the chief or the chief's office. You know, there's the chief's email address is available online, and the chief's phone numbers are there. I'd be surprised to hear that no one answers the phone when you call during business hours. I don't believe that happens. So whoever had that question, I don't see it now. I had it memorized. But if you need to get a hold of a chief, the city chief's office is well publicized, and you know, by all means, call and leave a message. I'm not sure which chief you want to get a hold of, but then again, here, if it's this commander is very receptive to the public. He's been in our Northwest Area Command for what, about a year and a half now?
About a year.
Yeah, a year, somewhere in there. I'm glad you didn't leave. We got tired of that revolving door, so don't go anywhere. But anyhow, yeah, by all means, get a hold of us, and you know, we'll facilitate. That's one of the things of what the CPC is to try to bridge the gap between the community and the police department. It's not, you know, so please do get a hold of us. Then we have a question over here about the non-emergency no answers the phone or
Right.
calls back. Been calling since 2016.
Um, So,
Again, get a hold of one of us. We can get a hold of somebody. We can get you in touch with whoever you really feel you need to talk to. I mean, I'm sure they'll fill the call. All right, then we have a question again, and this always comes on the non-emergency line, not answering the phone. And, people will wait and are on hold for 15 minutes. Um, I've been to that call center more than once, and their manpower limited just as well as every other industry, to include the police department and law enforcement. Um, by all means, I hate to say it, but don't give up, because what you were calling for, you felt was important, and it does need to be logged. And I feel your pain. I've sat on the non-emergency line for as long as 35 minutes, but I had the resilience that I was not going to give up. So that's the best advice I can give. Commander, could you add anything to it?
I agree. I agree, and I have, I think I filled this question and emails regarding this several times a week. We do. We are having some staffing challenges at the Emergency Communication Center, just as we are in the department. I do, I know that it does take a little bit of time. I know we've had Erica Wilson on here before, talk about how the call center works and how they get the calls. But I think this is where we also have to find a better way, not only as a department, but as a community. And so we're looking at other areas where we are able to take those reports and those calls without tying up the center. And I mentioned earlier about filing a police report online. And the other thing that we're looking at is we're exploring having some of our shopliftings that are being reported when there's nobody in custody and that person has left and there's no emergency. We're going to be working with some of the businesses because in fact I had a meeting with Walmart management, and they're actually the ones who brought it up, if we would be able to do that. And I think it's just a matter of us looking at, right now you can report a larceny online. But because shoplifting is a specific statute, even though it's a larceny, but it's a specific statute that's labeled as shoplifting, it's not on that list. So we're going to be working with the ECC to see if we can add that. And those are some of the few things that we can do. I always encourage people that if it is something that's within that list, where, whether it's an auto burglary, things like that, that could be reported online, that we do that, because it is going to alleviate that workload on the ECC to be able to take those emergency calls a little bit quicker.
Okay, then there's another question here, and I believe you already touched on it, because I feel your leadership is actively involved with your officers, but they're asking, what type of support and leadership are you providing the Northwest Area Command officers to keep them motivated and out of IA for every minor policy violation, so that we can keep officers on the street available for calls for service? A lot of what you have to do is dictated from the 5th floor, which is the chief's office, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah. And again, it's, my number one thing that I think has helped me is communicating with my staff, communicating with my officers, because a lot of times, when we don't keep our personnel informed, then they make their own assumptions onto what's really going on, as opposed to, even if it's a hard truth, even if it's something that they may not like, I think they still respect the fact that we're communicating with them. I know discipline has been a concern for officers. But I will tell you this, and this is the same thing that I told my officers during one of my briefings, is that, the department has changed the discipline policy. And I can tell you personally that having gotten that new policy, we were able to change the way that progressive discipline was working, in the way that it was being handed out with the officers, which, now now it gives us the ability to tell, to show where, there's something that's misconduct, that's actual misconduct, and others that are performance issues. And I can, in my opinion, at least within my area command, a lot of them were that performance issue that we had to work on. And we have been able to reduce, I can't give numbers because I don't have the numbers from IAPS or from my internal affairs. I'm sure they could we could set up a time for them to come out, but I will tell you that the discipline numbers are much lower than they had been in the past. However, we still need to work on that. And again, just communicating that to our officers, I think has helped.
Okay. I'm not sure if I understand this as a question. Being an active supervisor and mentoring and coaching officers and supervisors under me, going over policies that IA is commonly receiving as violations. I believe you do what you call lessons learned, right? Amongst your team, when one guy or one officer would do a mistake, I'm sure that there's some communication on, some passover, flow down, lessons learned of, hey, you thought this, but it was wrong. You can't do that.
Absolutely, we do, and not just within the area command. In fact, we do it. So we have commanders meeting every Wednesday. So all of the area commanders get together with Deputy Chief Brown, and we do a lot of that. For example, we have a very good relationship among the field commanders, and we talk all the time. And, I'll give you an example. We had, when we started getting, we had an audit months ago, and it was in that audit, there was a little bit of a concern with something that was in a policy and a foot pursuit. Well, because even though that had been in policy, it wasn't something that was happening a lot. We ended up, having a deficiency in that audit. And so, right away, I called one of the commanders, and the commander started talking to me, hey, make sure that your officers know this. And they started sending out the emails to the officers to say, hey, they're doing audits. You need to make sure that you're doing this, these specific things. So we are, and we're actually doing it at a whole field level.
Okay. Lieutenant, I apologize. And you know what I'm talking about. Okay. How successful are cops on the corner, and what, I guess they wanted to say, what type of citizens do you see showing up? Is there any success, or is it a waste of your resources trying to say you make community contacts?
Okay. I think I'm a little confused on the question. Could you repeat it again?
How successful are cops on the corner, and what type of citizens do you see showing up? Is there any success, or is it a waste of your resources trying to say you are making community contacts?
Well, no, it is definitely not a waste of our resources. And I'll tell you this, even if we did not get somebody to attend that cop on the corner, because it gives us something, it gives us the visibility of having an officer out there doing a briefing. And not only that, it gives the community an opportunity, so I don't find it, whether we get people out there or not, I don't necessarily find that to be not effective, because it still gives us the visibility of having officers, and it gives the community the opportunity. The other thing is that, having just one, even if it's just one community member, that is working towards our problem solving and reducing not only providing them answers, but reducing those, the crime or addressing some of those issues, because look, community policing, community engagement and crime prevention, crime reduction, they go hand in hand. And I think you heard this from me, the first meeting that I had with the CPCs, that I said, yes, we can put officers in one area and say, you know what, we are just going to throw a bunch of officers out there and we will reduce crime. And we can do that. But is that effective? As opposed to really working with the community and having those partnerships, that is real problem solving. And so even one person showing up at one of these meetings is a win. And even if a person doesn't show up, it's still a win because of that presence and the opportunity for the community to do that. So hopefully I answered your question.
Right. I think you did, and it's you can't judge the citizen. They want to know what type of citizen is showing up. Citizen's a citizen in your eyes.
Yeah, and it is.
That's the way I
Community
see
is a
it.
community. It does not matter.
Right. Okay. I don't see any more questions there, but one question that has been come to me from another block captain was the block captain program. As usual, when we do the bid, which we just did, in July and August, and you got guys moving around, there hasn't been contact with the block captains in the Northwest. One guy came to me the other guy, and I'm a block captain, and I can say I have not been contacted yet by whoever is going to assume that role after the bid. So, general statement there. I know they got a lot to catch up on when they move over under you, and we do appreciate it. I think it's an effective program. So if we could just check into that.
I will definitely check into you. They should have been contacted already. I know that we did a few trainings for some new block captains for a few neighborhoods already. But that list, those new block captains should have already been distributed to the officers. I will look into it and make sure that they get contacted here soon.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a great program. Lieutenant Vigil, did you have something you wanted to say, ma'am? We put you on where you can talk now. Oh, okay. All right. With that, I don't see any more questions, and we'll move on, and we'll talk about the recruitment and the academy update.
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
We got 9 officers from APD on tonight. We only invited 3. I just wanted to let the public know exactly how involved APD is in the community policing councils. So excellent work, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad
to hear 9-1. That's still not enough, but you know me, I always want more. It's a large area to cover, a large geographical area to cover. But okay, Kelly, is it all right? We'll move on to the recruitment update.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. This is Lieutenant Garcia. So I know it was mentioned earlier, but we do have 47 cadets graduating on Friday, and I'm sure Lieutenant Saladin will fill you in with that. We have we have our CNM class 6 that is full. Our lateral class 27, we currently have 1 seated and 3 in backgrounds. And then our class 125, that is the one that is scheduled to start in December. And we have 39 that have passed their passed their chiefs, and 42 that are still in backgrounds.
Wow, 81. That'd be a lot in that cadet class if they all get seated.
That will be a lot, and that would be great. Obviously, the ones that have passed chiefs, they still have to be cleared through medical. But we're hoping all of those make it. We're working on some great recruiting initiatives. I don't know if anybody's been into a movie theater lately, but we're recruiting in the movie theaters. So we're hoping to get a lot of interest. I think now's the perfect time.
Good deal. Okay. I don't have any questions. Does anybody have any questions for recruitment or the academy scheduled graduations and class start dates? If not, we're going to move on to our presentation tonight. Albuquerque Vision Zero and Real-Time Crime Center. I believe, I'm not sure who is going to present on that.
So Lieutenant Wheeler here for Vision Zero. I'm not sure if myself or Deputy Commander Torres was going to go first with the Real-Time Crime Center.
Okay, Lieutenant Wheeler, you still got the DUI unit?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Well,
glad to hear that. And
Actually, right
traffic.
now, let me take that back. So we actually have a DWI lieutenant now. I'm acting commander, so I keep saying yes because they fall under me for the rest of the year. But
Okay.
we do have a DWI lieutenant who's full time now with those guys.
Yeah, Nick, you and I met at the one DUI checkpoint out of I think it was out of Unzer.
Oh,
I
yes,
showed
sir.
up. Yeah, I showed up with pizzas and water.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, that's my version of coffee with a cop. So,
I'm not sure if you want me to go first with Vision Zero.
no, I'm good if you go first, Nick.
Okay, so Vision Zero, right now we do not have a full-time director that's assigned by the city. We did have one up until about a month ago. She resigned and moved on. It's my understanding by the end of the week, a new coordinator for Vision Zero will be selected, and that's my hopes, because they have a lot more time to work on this stuff that we are going to go over. The Vision Zero, for those that have never heard of it, it's a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries. And while doing so, we're increasing the safety, the health, and equitable mobility for everyone. It not only involves the enforcement aspect from police, but also education, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists as well. It's based on the underlying ethical principle that it can never be ethically acceptable that people are killed or seriously injured when moving within the road, whether that's bike, car, motorcycle, on foot. And it functions to guide strategy selection, and there's no particular goals or targets. In most road transport systems throughout the US and around the world, actually, road users bear complete responsibility for safety. And with the Vision Zero, we changed that, and we emphasize the responsibility shared not only by those using the roads, but the people that are designing them, the transportation system designers, the road users. And there's a traditional approach, which was the old thinking before Vision Zero, that traffic deaths are inevitable. It's an everyday occurrence. We have to have perfect human behavior in order to stop that. And we want to prevent all collisions, and every individual is only responsible, and saving lives is expensive. Well, with the Vision Zero approach, I mean, traffic deaths are preventable. We no longer like to refer to these as accidents, because accidents are preventable. These are crashes, and they're preventable as well. And we have to take a proactive approach to prioritize traffic safety and create it as a public health issue instead of just day to day. It's going to happen. It's saving lives is not expensive in the overall scheme of things. And the Vision Zero program, I mean, we recognize that people mess up, they make mistakes. So while doing the road creation and designing and the policies related to specific roads and speed management, we have to remember that those inevitable mistakes will be made, but they should not result in severe injuries or fatalities. And that, again, the designers and the policymakers, we are expected to improve the roadway environment. And one of the things that the city of Albuquerque is doing right now to help facilitate that is they passed the mobile speed enforcement legislation, and those should be going up hopefully by the end of the year. And I think being in charge of the traffic division and dealing with crashes and speeding every day, all night, I think that they're going to be a force multiplier for us, and they're going to help us immensely. I mean, not knowing specifically where some cameras may be at all times, or forgetting where they're at. You know, it's going to catch them, they'll get a ticket, and then it might hopefully make people think, you know what, I need to slow down. I didn't realize I was going that fast. And there's a couple different things that we do in Vision Zero. We look at traffic calming measures to see if the roadways and the city can benefit from some type of change related to those roadways. And that's usually done by what's called a road safety assessment, or an RSA. And we formally, it's a performance examination, and we look at existing roadways and streets, future roadway designs, intersections, and it's comprised of a multidisciplinary team, and it's like the mid-region councils of governments. There's bicycling cyclists that are involved, a ton of traffic engineers, architects, and the Federal Highway Administration. They all come together. We look at these streets and would it be best to change, say, for example, a one-way street to a two-way street, because then there's less driving, there's less confusion, better traffic access. It block driveways in and out, and that's one of the things we've done. We recently did a RSA, or road safety assessment, on Louisiana, from Lomas to Gibson, because we have a lot of crashes and mainly pedestrian crashes. Well, we found out that between bus stops, there is a huge distance that people have to cross in order to get across safely where they're protected, whether it's a crosswalk, or there's some hawk signals out there saying, hey, these pedestrians are going to be crossing, you need to slow down and pay attention. So we have to look at what opportunities exist so we can eliminate or mitigate these issues. And some of the stuff we look at when we're doing the road safety assessments is what is the problem with traffic through here? What are the surrounding uses? Residential, commercial, retail? Is there schools? What types of activities are there in the area? What are planned to go in the area, like parks, schools, transit services? Are they available in that area? And then it even goes into drainage and slopes of the road for drainage, for ice to stand on the roadway. So we look at that stuff, and we as a group, once a month, we try and review as many fatal crashes as we can in the time permitted. We look at fatal crashes, serious injury crashes, and we look at the top contributing factors. Was it speed? Was it a road design? Was it a dark area where a pedestrian was crossing wearing dark clothes? Do they need lights? Do they need to change the timing on lights? Do we need to change the speed limit? These are some of the things we look at when we review these crashes. And when we do these crash reviews, it involves everyone I talked about, traffic engineers, the mid-region council of governments. There's actually a group of cyclists that join our group. So it helps us. And like right now, you see everywhere you go in the state of Albuquerque, everyone's driving fast. In the past, if you drove up to a police car, even if you were a police officer in a marked unit and you realized you were going fast, you would slam on the brakes and slow down. You would see the front end of a vehicle dip. Now they pass by police cars that are marked. They don't care. And that's contributing to a lot of our crashes. Right now, we're the city, just in the city, not including what the sheriff's department has taken or the state police, we're at 64 fatal crashes in the city limits and 33 serious injury crashes. Those serious injury crashes usually are some type of brain bleed. They've lost an organ or the use of an organ, or they are going to be in a coma, or they have brain damage, something that will affect them and their ability to live a normal life. So my guys go out and investigate those as well. So we're trying to get people to slow down. We try and use this approach for racers as well. I'm sure everyone's upset with racers because it's everywhere. Every day of the week now, we have motor guys out tackling racers. On Sunday night, I have a group coming out every Sunday night just to try and tackle these racers and the problems. And next week, you guys will see a press conference, or not necessarily a press conference, but a press release I'm working on putting out regarding actual arrests. So we've met with City Legal. I've talked to Metro Court, and I've met with the chiefs, and we're going to start arresting all of these guys that are actually involved in racing. For years past, we've given them citations, and it goes to Metro Court, and we really never know what happens unless we are set up for a court case. But I want these guys that are involved in these racings, doing 100+ miles an hour, killing themselves or each other or other people that are just in the wrong place at the wrong time, that there are consequences. So those are just some of the approaches we're working on right now. And that's pretty much sums up Vision Zero. The mayor and when they started this, the goal was by 2040 to have 0 fatalities or and a reduction of serious injury crashes. And the reason that was chosen was because this does take time, it takes money to reduce these crashes by changing the streets, educating folks, and hoping their behavior changes.
Okay. Thanks, Lieutenant Wheeler. I see a question here. There's 2 questions. One of them we'll get to at the end of presentations because it was a question on stats.
Okay.
But this other one here, and it wouldn't involve you, Nick. An easy traffic calming. Lights were installed at PDN and Kimmick over 2 years ago, and they're still not on. This person's saying turn them on and it will slow traffic and add control to a dangerous intersection. I'm not sure who would we contact on that.
That would be traffic engineering. And before I log off, I'll put my email in the group chat, and I will reach out my contact at traffic engineering, because we work now out of the same building.
Okay.
So the Sheriff's Department, APD, and DMD, or traffic engineering, and the Mexico Department of Transportation, we've all been housed in one building. So it makes it a lot easier for us to communicate and to address some of these problems that have been brought up. So Baxter, when I put my email, do me a favor, will you send me that question in an email, and I will respond to you by the end of the week.
Okay. All right. We'll be able to do that. The other question, I will field the question, but I'd like the presenters to finish presenting. And I'm not sure if Commander, if you can see that question or not. It's a pretty lengthy one about a truck being broken into. But I'd like, because we've moved on to the presenters, I'd like the presenters to complete, and then we'll do a go back to that one question a little later.
And Jeff, I don't have anything else related to Vision Zero.
Okay, no, I appreciate it, Nick.
And
when
if anyone
I send
has
you,
questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
and when I send you the email too, when you respond back a little, if you could give me the new DUI lieutenant and contact, so I can get in touch with him, so I can go out and visit him some night.
I will do, sir.
All right, no, I appreciate it, because the DUI unit certainly appreciates support from the public, and they're always out there at the middle of the night and in court during the day, so they don't get to see too many of us in a good way. So,
Well, I appreciate your time, everyone. And again, if you have questions, just please reach out to me.
I raised my hand.
oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, you got a mic. You can speak up in there, Tom. I don't get offended.
So about 10 years ago, the National Highway Safety Administration came down to look at Albuquerque because of pedestrian fatalities.
Yes,
There
sir.
were a lot of them. And they
There still
spent
are.
they spent a couple of weeks here looking at the problem. And I'll give you one of the examples. I was on the committee. They were on Central and Coors, and they had a jaywalker every minute. So they had over 60 an hour. And you wonder why people get killed. Anyway, they had made recommendations like moving bus stops to the corner and directional arrows on bike lanes. And they made a whole bunch. They came back after about a month and gave it all to the city. And it went to municipal development, and it's sitting in somebody's desk drawer. And I was wondering if anybody could find it and take a look at those recommendations and see if we could utilize some of what the feds did. They had a whole team down here. There was a lot of people, and they put a lot of effort into trying to lower the pedestrian fatalities. So I don't know if you even know about this, but it's there, it's somewhere.
I honestly did not know about it, but I can reach out to traffic engineering, the folks that would know that, and some of the guys that I deal with daily have been there for years, so maybe they would have an answer. And Jeff, if
Well,
you could,
Tim Brown would know.
what's that, Tom?
Tim Brown would know about it because it was before his time. Like I said, it was 10 years ago.
Okay, well, maybe, hopefully I can find somebody there that knows or can research it and try and find that information. If not, Mike, I work with a lady at New Mexico Department of Transportation who works with federal highways, and maybe they can reach out and find that packet of information. Because I'm game to help stop these deaths wherever and however we need to. I mean, like I said, it's going to cost money, but money is nothing when it compares to the lives that are being taken. I mean, this year we have 23 pedestrian deaths out of the 64 fatal crashes. So, Jeff.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Tom, for the question. And Jeff, would you mind emailing that as well?
Yeah, I will.
I appreciate it,
All
sir.
right. Yes, sir, Nick. Thanks, Nick, for taking the time out to come join this meeting. We appreciate you, and I
No, it's
know
my
you
pleasure.
give it your all every day. Okay, is the commander still on now?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again, Nick. Is it real
Yes, I'm
time?
still here.
Alrighty, sir. It's your turn, sir, and I appreciate you waiting.
Oh, no problem. Am I able to share a PowerPoint presentation with you guys?
1 second.
Yeah, Kelly has that control there.
So while he's setting that up, let me answer the question about the $5,000 incident report that wasn't counted back in March 9th. So we are currently going through a records management upgrade to ensure that this does not happen. So there are two different ways that we are accounting to statistics here at APD right now. We have our records unit, and then we have our crime analysis unit that actually works for me, so that we double check things every morning to make sure that nothing has or is getting glossed over, like she's making a statement. I do not know what happened back in February, but I can tell you that we've added some contingencies now to make sure that we are able to account for every statistic and every incident that's happening citywide.
Would the person that put that in there, do you have a police report number that they gave you? If so, if you'd put that in the chat, I think we could get that to the powers to be, and they could take a look at it. Because if you made a report, you got a police report number. Does that sound feasible there, Commander?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I can definitely, if you get that number, I can definitely look into it. And like I said, we are going through multiple upgrades now, and we are getting ready to take our new case management system online here in December, which will tie everything in together. So, you know, where again, our hope is to always be transparent and to be able to give you real-time statistics relatively quickly. Like right now, for me to be able to give you any statistics, we pull them, we check them with records. So it is somewhat time consuming, but we try to get all that stuff done within a 24-hour period.
And I see that they don't have the police report readily available. Okay, whenever we're finished with this presentation, if you copied earlier where the commander of the Northwest put his email address on there, if when you do get your police report number, if you would email that to that commander, I'm sure that they will get you some sort of an answer.
And I'll put my email at the end of this also, so if anyone has any questions, they can contact me directly.
Thank you, sir. Okay, it looks like Kelly gave you the go to share.
Okay, yep, so I am up. So my name is Mark Torres. I'm the Deputy Commander of the Real-Time Crime Center. I report to Deputy Chief JJ Griego and to Chief Harold Medina. So the Real-Time Crime Center is under our Management Services Bureau, and it's in the Real-Time Crime Center. I have the crime analysis, live operations, and video production. So generally what we're going to cover today is live operations, which I'll refer to as the bridge. This is a snapshot of the bridge, which is on the third floor of 400 downtown. I have 8 real-time intelligence councils, and what these operators' jobs is to bridge the information from the emergency communication center to the officer that's actually responding to these 911 calls or these calls for assistance. In today's day and age, there's so much that's happening in the background that we are trying to educate the officers within 90 seconds of when they're dispatched, the history of the address that they're getting to, if there's any known precursors, some type of medical emergency that could be happening, some type of history of violence, or something else that might make the officers safer and then make the citizens' interaction with the officer have a positive outcome. So in there, these operators have the ability to access over 100 different databases. We also take thousands of outside requests for information from CYFD, New Mexico State Police, and our federal partners. This is generally a snapshot in time of everything that's happening within the city that the real-time crime center or the bridge is trying to respond to. Every little different indicator there is something that is maybe happening at that time in the city when I took a snapshot of our working board. So we handle hundreds of thousands of calls a year and could be hundreds of calls a day. Within that, we have the ability to tie into some of our traffic cams that either our traffic or the state gives us access to, so that we can get what we call live eyes in real time, so that we can via radio, MDT, or telephone give the responding officer a heads up to what he or she might be rolling into. Along with that, we have a short CAD on the CAD, which gives us the history of everything that's going on, from anyone that's still calling 911 to the officer's radio communication. They are able to add to the official report so that our participation is noted. Along with that, we have a map of, this is just a small map of the areas of our intersection cameras that we do not own, but we are able to access through our traffic division. And these are your corner cams that would be on the intersections, so that we're able to assess for, aggressive drivers. We're able to look at crashes that might be blocking in the roadway. So we are trying to tie in all the technology and have it come into the real-time crime center so that we can have a better span and keep our finger on the pulse of the city 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We also have what's called our SCAN program, and this is where we ask our citizens that have rings or security systems to register with us. So if we have an event that happens in your neighborhood and we need to contact you to see if there's anything of evidentiary values or anything that can help us develop a lead while we're investigating, we would hope that you guys would register. We are in the process of switching over to a new server system, but this is still available for you to sign up or for you to mention to your constituents if they're wanting to sign up with the SCAN program. Along with the bridge, I have the analytical section, and this is where we create and put together all our statistics that go out to the area commanders. Like Commander Sanchez said, he follows trends. My individuals that work for me are the ones that put all these, do the analysis and put the presentations together, or made available to Commander Sanchez and the other area commanders if they have any specialty research that they would like to do, so that we can help them prepare better and serve their community as quick and as efficiently as possible. So these are just some of the things that we do. We do a bi-weekly crime analysis briefing. We do a daily analysis report. We have a daily morning crime call where we update everybody on the last 24 hours. We have a weekly gun violence intervention meeting, and then we host the weekly Duke City Stat, where we give the chief and the deputy chiefs a state of the city weekly. And then this is virtually the goals for our Duke City Stat. We want to accurately and timely disseminate information so that everybody knows what's happening. We want to assess to make sure we're using effective tactics so that we always have a good plan. When things are going right, we want to make sure we do it right. If they're doing wrong, if they're not going the way we planned, we want to have a rapid deployment so that we can do it quickly so that we can address the problems as they're being developed. And we want to have relentless follow-up and assessment. If it's working, we want to do more of it. If it's not, we need to assess what's not working and fix it. And within that, we always focus on our problem locations, our prolific offenders, our repeat and vulnerable victims, are, again, community engagement. That's why we will participate in these things. We want you to know that we exist and that we're here to try to bridge that gap. And in that, we also always want to form partnerships. This is just a little overview of things that we're able to put. This is something old, and what this was doing was showing the robberies that we had going on during that specific time, so that the area commanders were able to assess over a period of time if they saw any patterns or if they needed to make adjustments with their patrols or their patrol lieutenants and sergeants. This is just on the bottom. It gives like a time and date so that we can start breaking it down to see if we need to adjust by the hour. And then part of the other thing is putting everything together. We also put together what's called a Daily 49, where we release information to all our law enforcement area commands with leads and requests for assistance. This is where we broadcast suspects, vehicles, and ask for help where a patrol officer might be driving down the street and all of a sudden recognizes a car that committed some type of crime in the Northwest Area Command. And then again, this is the live operations of the bridge if you wanted to get technical on what the mission is. But ultimately, their goal is to gather as much information as they can and broadcast it within 90 seconds so that we can ensure that the officer there has knowledge and is walking in there with more information than simply that there is some type of call for service at a specific address. These are some of the over 100 tools that they use. And then again, the center is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it's manned by certified bridge operators. You know, we only service law enforcement or law enforcement officials. So unfortunately, it's not like somebody, one of our civilian partners can call and ask for any information from the bridge, because we do require a case number or a CAD number, first and last name, badge number, entity that they work for, and initial contact information. We cannot be giving sensitive information out to the public. So, and we do have a hotline, but that is for law enforcement only. And with that, that is the end of the presentation. If anybody has any questions.
I'll open it on up for questions. I'm trying to see if I get any. I've heard a lot of praise from the officers on the street for the effectivity of the real-time crime center, on how they feel it does help them. And I know it's always a work in progress to always improve. I like that when you had that one item up there where it says, if it's not working right, change it type thing. Yeah, you can't keep doing the same wrong thing over and over again. You're going to get the same result. And which
Right,
is
and that
the
that
problem.
is the main theme of our Wednesday morning Duke City staff. It is to
Right.
ensure that what we're doing, and again, it's the philosophy can't be a 60-day, a 30-day, or a 10-day thing. We have to make adjustments fast, and we have to know what we're doing, and that's why we meet in some way every 24 hours and every 7 days, so that we can ensure that what we are doing is getting done, taking notice, and if we're not doing it, then we're changing gears. And then sometimes it is having to stay the course. We just have to give it some time to make sure that it grabs traction, and we do everything based on statistics.
Right. And we do have a comment from one of our panelists that these resources are great, but until criminals are held accountable, which is out of APD's jurisdiction, so to speak. I mean, APD's role is to, combat the crime on the streets and arrest those who deserve to be arrested. And then when it gets into our court system and our district attorneys and the state statutes and all that, how they get released and when they get released, APD virtually has no say in that. But the key is APD continues to do their job to the best of their abilities and get them in front of the courts. And then the system, as we all know it, takes over.
So what I would say is that persistence eventually pays off, and we will be persistent until we hold them accountable.
There you go. That's all I think that's about all we can ask for, But, and I'll say this to everybody that's on the call, pay attention to your state statutes, the state laws, and we've had judges come in here and to this panel and give presentations and say they do exactly what the state law allows them to do. And it's our elected representatives up in Santa Fe that makes those laws. So if there's one that you don't like that specifically bugs you, get a hold of your state representative and petition them to take a look at the law and get it changed. I think that's one of the problems in our state. It's not a APD problem or a state police problem. It's the problem with the state statutes and laws and how the judges have to enforce and interpret them. So, Artie, I don't see any other questions for you, sir, and I appreciate you waiting around and taking your time to present this and as well filled that other question that we had. So,
Okay, and then I am putting my email, if anyone thinks of anything and they want to ask me, feel free to email me and I will respond.
We appreciate that, sir. All right. With that, then I'm going to move on to, I don't see any other old business that we have. And our new business is that the next CPC meeting will be November the 17th at 6 p.m. Kelly will send out the notices, correct, sir? Yep. He's shaking his head, yes. There will be no December Northwest CPC meeting because it always falls on the 3rd, and I think that was determined to be too close to the holidays. All right, so any other matters from the public? Kelly, I wish I had a list of the names of the new members. If you have them, by all means, if you would go ahead and introduce the new members of the CPC liaison, I'd appreciate it.
Well, we do have a couple of new members of the Northwest Community Policing Council this week. We have Marcela Duarte, and we also have Chandra Vigil. So if you'd like to say a little something about yourself, Marcela.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to join this team and I'm looking forward to all of the great conversation. Thank you. Or did you want something about myself? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. You can give us some information, what motivated you, what you do.
Okay, so I live in North Coors, I-40 area. I worked for my dad, who was a criminal defense attorney. My sister's a federal probation officer, so I see all sides of the law. So I think that's it. Lifelong Albuquerque resident.
Okay. And Chanda, would you like to say a few words?
Hey guys, so I was APD for about 5 years and have been experienced the civilian side for about 6 years now. So it's a completely different world when you wear the uniform and you don't quite understand what civilians go through. So I definitely see things through a different perspective now. My stepmother-in-law was Jackie V. Hill. She was the one that was murdered in her driveway. November 19th will be 2 years ago. I work for Keller Williams Riverside office. So I work with a bunch of realtors, see a lot of different people's concerns, moving to the Albuquerque area and talk to a lot of citizens on a daily basis.
Okay. And we do have one or two more openings. I haven't taken count right now, but with Northwest Community Policing Council, I put the link in earlier. You can always get the link or forward someone else the link from our website. The easiest way is just to Google or search for Community Policing Council Albuquerque. You look on the agenda. I mean, the agendas are listed. The minutes from the past meetings are listed. And we also have our calendar listed every month as to when the meetings are. If someone would like to get involved, there is what we call a statement of interest, which is an application on the page. You fill out your information. It will go to the council chair, and then we will interview you and see if you're going to be a good fit for the council. If you know someone in another area command also, we have 5 other councils all over the city. Please forward the link to them. Check out our website. And we also have all of our meetings, past meetings up from the past year. So you can check out any council's websites at any time. We are going to hopefully get some new members. Tara Bernheisel said earlier she might be interested in applying, so I put the link up earlier, and hopefully we see some new people who are interested.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. And with that, I too want to open it on up to everybody that's in this meeting to actively take a look. The Albuquerque Police Department offers a Citizens Academy. I believe it runs 12 weeks, 2 nights. It's been a few years since I went through it, but it was very eye-opening, and it does put you in touch with what does Albuquerque Police Department really do. And it educates you in all facets of the Albuquerque Police Department. So again, they have a website. I'm sure they'll be starting a class sometime after the first of the year. So get your application in. I believe they still do background checks to attend that, but it's a worthwhile educational class to take, and it lets you understand that community a little bit better. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or anything like that before we adjourn? Okay. All right. Is the Academy available virtually? I would have to ask about that. I know they tried that during COVID. I know several police departments tried the virtual and it bombed. Okay. The reason it bombs is because you go into places like the K9 demonstration, you go on out to the DUI checkpoints, you go into the lab and do forensic. You get to witness that, and to put that on. Oh, I see. Elizabeth Martinez answered, not at this time. Again, I'll tell you, I know several police departments that tried that and it didn't work out too good for them. So, you know, there's a lot of really hands-on in-person stuff that you do when you go to that academy, and it's right down off of 2nd Street where the main academy building is. So, okay, in closing, I hope I didn't butcher the meeting too bad. I'm used to Eric running it. He's tough shoes to fill. And again, I'll say we have to fill that seat. He was the outgoing president, and I'm just the vice president. So we'll be looking within the council panelists to find a president that can do this, full time and hold that position. So with that, I want to thank everybody for attending, and I want to thank all the APD members that joined, and especially the ones that they took off the street and were able to sit in here and listen to their community and see the presentations to their community. And I want everybody to go on out this week and find something positive that you see APD doing and post it on your Facebook and your Twitter. They see enough of the negative, but and they know they got the negative, but they also need to see the positive. So with that, Kelly, if
Can I interrupt just 1 minute?
go ahead and speak on up there. I can barely hear you, but speak up.
All right, so hang on, let me make it louder. I just want to let you know that if you miss a meeting, we're going to elect you as president. So I would pay real close attention to the next meetings coming up.
Yeah, well, that's a debatable topic there. We'll talk in person next time I see you. So,
Just kidding.
all right. All righty. Okay. Well, again, thanks everybody, and I appreciate you coming, and we'll see you on November the 17th.
Have an excellent evening, everyone.
All right.
Guys.